but that was one of those tournaments where, going into it, it was it was a turning point of my career and of my life. Honestly, going into that tournament, I was in a position where I didn't know if I was going to continue fishing. I didn't know if my career would continue. And, honestly, I thought that potentially that could be my last event. So, to go in and have that happen, it changed my life, really did. But, I remember the feeling of knowing you're close and, and being right there. And that last day was no exception. Really long boat runs to get to the spot. I get there, I catch a couple good ones, a couple okay ones. I got one little one in there. And I know, even though this is pre live, this is pre web, this is pre all that, um, I know in my heart that if I can't get rid of this 12-incher, I'm not winning this classic. I'm losing it. And, I remember there was a camera guy in my boat from ESPN, and he knew there was about 5 minutes of fishing left. And he said, Mike, before we make that 2-hour run back, give me your thoughts on the day. And I remember, looking back and telling him, I'm like, man, listen, I gave it my all. Like I worked hard and I gave it 100%. I got no regrets, and I got a couple minutes left, and I just got to keep pushing, and and then we got to go back, and I remember telling him that, and it was like almost immediately after I finished that sentence, I had a fish. I was using a paddle tail worm, swim worm or speed worm, guys call them. And I remember one boiling on it, but missing it. And it was like almost like robotic, where I reeled it in and I never took my eyes off where that boil was at. And I had a rod rigged with a soft stick bait on a spinning rod. And it was like very robotic because I grabbed that rod without even looking down at it, picked it up, clicked the bail. My eyes are still focused on that boil, and the stick bait landed right where that boil was at. And I clicked the bail over, and that fish had it. And I remember setting the hook, and when I set the hook, I knew that that was the winning fish. Like I just knew. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
describe because there was no text or none of that existed. And the minute that I put my hand on that fish, it was honestly a lifetime of emotions coming out. Not just the dream since I was a kid of the classic, not just the fact of the pressure and all that, not just the fact that I thought this might be my last tournament, but it all just erupted. And all that was captured on film, of course, and it became a very historical, iconic moment in fishing. But um, it was just one of those moments that is amazing, and it's still hard to believe that that happened. And that was the winning fish, and I won by just a little over a pound. Had I not got rid of that 12-incher, that fish was about 3 pounds, so that was the winning fish. I only
Yeah.
won by a pound,
Yeah.
so life-changing event for me, and just unbelievable.
Yeah,
And
you could see when you got that fish in your hand, just it's almost like everything, the weight just got off your shoulders, and it just you just let it go,
Yeah,
and it was and I imagine people they might not know that that was from the classic, the video of you at the front of the boat and just you just hollering and screaming but I mean, but everybody, if they watch any kind of fishing, they have definitely seen that fish catch.
and as a fan of the sport, there's two classic moments or memories that I will never forget as a fan. And I've watched pretty much every year. I watched the classic, and then we had the opportunity to go last year as a media. But one of them, of course, is going to be your 2003 classic winning moment. And the other one actually is a little bit more recent, wasn't a classic win, but it's another memory that is etched in my mind that I will never forget is your 10 pounder. On, I believe
yes.
it was on day 2 or 3.
Day 3 of Lake Conroe
Yeah, Lake Conroe.
yes, in Texas, down toward Houston. It was, yes, another one of those moments. Like, again, a long time ago, but I can remember the bite. I remember the hook set. I remember everything about it. And, I
That was on a
growing up
Carolina rig too, wasn't it?
on a Carolina rig lizard, a
Yep.
green pumpkin power lizard, like the oldest technique that you could think of,
Oh yeah.
uh, but those big fish are very special to me because I grew up and I still live in an area of the country where you don't see fish in that caliber. Like honestly, a big one we consider a 4 or 5 pounder is a really big fish for us. And that, a lot of times when growing up, that was the biggest fish I'd catch all year would be a 5 pounder. So, to catch a 10 pounder in the Bassmaster Classic, like, can you imagine the feeling of that, And it happened to me and it was just, it was amazing, it was unbelievable.